Welcome back to Wines du Jour. We're having a good time here at the Market Sea and Land Restaurant. What a unique name, huh? Market. And it's not spelled M-A-R-K-E-T. It's the abbreviation M-R-K-T. Market Sea and Land. But you know what? The food is superb. The choices on the menu are absolutely outstanding. And the chef has done a beautiful job preparing his food to go along with the Chardonnay. Now, are you going to add varietals to the Divining Rod label, or are you going to stick with Chardonnay and Cabernet?
No, we are going to add some other varietals.
You are.
We're in the discussion phase, research, market research, and we will come out. I would guess this brand's probably going to end up with 4 or 5 flavors, varietals. You know, Chardonnay's the queen of wine, and Cabernet's the king. And so we came out with the queen and king right out of the get-go.
I get some mango, I get some pineapple, I get a lot of different nice fruit-forward aromas and tastes for this. And yet I find overall this has got a beautiful taste for pairing with food. And I say that, and I've done this many times on Wines du Jour, Chardonnay is not a very good food wine. It's okay for drinking, but it doesn't go along with food very well. This does, because I don't know what he's done to it, but whatever he's done, it's working really, really well. But this is definitely a food wine.
Oh, it is. It is.
And this Chardonnay, you found, you really picked a good one because it is delicious. So what we're going to do now is to move over to wine number 2, which is a 2010 Cabernet Sauvignon. It's got all the blackberries and blueberries and all the the typical things that you would find in it. There's a little bit of black tea in there, and you know what? That means it goes along with food a little more than you would think with Cabernet, because Cabernet typically, they'll say, oh boy, big steaks and this and that and the other. This is more sophisticated. Well, I have to tell you, this Cabernet, the chef said, I love this Cabernet, and I'm going to do something, even though I mentioned earlier, typically steak and Cabernet kind of go together. But he says, let's don't just do steak. Let's do the finest steak. The finest meaning the most tender, not necessarily the most popular, and that would be filet mignon. And so he's taken a little potato, made it into a nice crisp little cake, if you will, or patty, and then put a little mini filet mignon on top of that, and with a little bit of sauce. And if you'll taste that and then take a sip of this Cabernet Sauvignon, again, you're going to know exactly what we mean when we say food and wine pairing, because the two together are very, very nice. If you're going to have if you're going to have well-done steak, you need to have a hamburger. Don't waste a good steak on well done, because you've ruined it in terms of taste, flavor, and texture, in my opinion. I don't know if you agree with that or not. Now, how much over $30 do we have to pay for this bottle?
Well, this is basically in the same price point as the Chardonnay. So
Are you serious?
You'll find it at $14, $15, $16.
No kidding.
Yes.
Well, that's another one's going in the wine cellar. You know what I mean? Now, this is delicious. Do
And
you guys agree? That's very good, yeah.
It's a fun Cabernet.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I happen to know that you've added something to this Cabernet, but you don't necessarily tell us what it's called. You call it Little Magic.
A little bit of magic.
Now, what in the hell is a little bit of magic in the wine business?
It is Malbec. So we added, on this wine, we added 7% Malbec. The next vintage I'm working with right now, and I believe it's going to have some Malbec and some Cab Franc in it.
Ooh.
Not high percentages, but,
right.
Just a touch.
Just enough to add.
We're no different than a chef. Chef works with spices. Well, we call these peripheral varieties in a Cabernet blend or Chardonnay, whatever you want to do, we call them spice. A little bit. Sometimes it's 1%, 2%. But a little bit can change it and enhance it.
Absolutely. In France, where Cabernet originated, if you will, they typically would take something like Cab Franc, as he mentioned, and maybe a little bit of Merlot, and add to the Cabernet to round off, that's what we call that term, round off the taste, which means when you swallow the wine, if it was 100% Cabernet and it wasn't necessarily the best, you're going to have a little harshness in your throat, maybe heat up a little bit. But if you add a little bit of Merlot and or add a little bit of Cab Franc to that, that goes away. So it doesn't change the taste of the Cabernet, but it enhances the overall experience of the taste of the Cabernet itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's purists. There's people that they only make 100% Cabernet, and
Right.
then there's those that like to do a little blending.
Right.
One's not right, one's not wrong.
That's true.
A little different.
The way I say it, though, Mark, is that if they're one of those that drinks only 100% Cabernet, they're missing out on a hell of a lot of good wine, But if they're happy with that, do whatever works. We always say in the wine industry, drink what you like, whatever it might be. It might be a Chardonnay, it might be a Cabernet, it might even be a white Zinfandel. If you like it, drink it. That's okay. But remember, wine is food. We got to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about this wine and not only the filet mignon, but also the third. So we'll be back right after these messages.
Switch to DirecTV today and get a free upgrade to the all-new Genie, our most advanced HD DVR ever. Genie serves your entire home with just one receiver, allows you to record any 5 shows at once, and gives you up to 3 times more HD recording capacity than cable. Order now and lock in your savings for 2 years. Other packages start at just $29.99 a month. So get all your TV wishes granted. Switch to DirecTV and get your free upgrade to Genie today.